Okay, so first thing you should know, I 3D printed some rocks.
And the rock is cooking!
Not those kind of rocks. This kind of rock. You're probably wondering why I would 3D print rocks.
Why would you do that?
Stick around. I'll tell you why. I have 3D printed over 100 models in the time that I've been in this hobby. And of those 100, I have maybe 4 or 5 with finished bases. And of those 4 or 5, I think only one of them is not a base that I 3D printed. And you can 3D print bases to have, textures to them. I have some that are like docks with money and gold coins and skulls and bottles and things like that on them, but they're all 3D printed that way. And I'm not a huge fan of the 3D printed bases, so I thought, let's try and make our own. Let's try and make a 3D base. The ones I've seen have always been so cool and they bring the models to life. And so I wanted to do that myself. And so I started teaching myself how to make bases, and I wanted to share what I learned with you. And that's why I 3D printed rocks, because I wanted to make as many things as I could, including rocks and grass and mushrooms and plants, things like that to add to my bases. So all you need to do this is a 3D printer and glue. Not this much glue, but I like to buy in bulk when I can.
Bulk.
Speaking of things I like it when people like and subscribe to the channel. We are getting pretty close to 400 subscribers right now, and I would love for that number to grow. The closer we get to 1,000, the closer we get to becoming a partner with YouTube, and the closer that this channel gets to just having more content, because I'll actually have money to fund the content.
I'm poor now.
So if you could, please like, subscribe, if you like what we're doing here at Pulsegate Games. So the first thing that we're going to do is we are going to create some basing material. And what that is we are going to combine something with glue. And what I mean by something is you can combine dirt, you can combine sand, you can combine anything that you want to put on your base. But if you combine the dirt or the sand with the glue, you can make it into a nice thick paste, which is what I have right here. And this paste you can put down on the base for your miniature. And it will dry and it will harden and it will look like whatever you made it out of. Now, I say sand. The grains of sand for us are very small, but we are not the size of a miniature. And so the grain of sand for them would actually be much finer. And so you can do sand if you want, but what I have used for making my bases that are sand, like if you're doing something underwater or something on a beach or something in a desert, is use baking soda. It's so fine, but it still has that powdery texture. And once you've combined it, you just put it on the base. Now, I made mine and it was a little wet. And so instead of having those nice like grooves and edges and things that you would want in dirt, you want it to look real, right? It ended up looking just like the surface of water. And so I actually had to come back over the top of it after it dried up a little bit. And this is what it looks like. And I just kind of messed with the texture a little bit. I just, put a piece of wood in there and just kind of played around with it a little bit. You can put the feet of your miniatures in it and things like that. Or if you've already got the miniatures printed and on a base, you just do it around their feet and it looks really good. Now, I didn't 3D print the dirt. Obviously, what I did for the dirt is I went out into my garden. I got a cup, put a cup full of dirt in my oven, and I baked it for 45 minutes at 200 degrees just to kind of sterilize it. But what it really does is it dries it out and it makes it super easy to use. If you're going to buy a pack of like dirt from one of the companies that makes these things, like that's all it is dirt. So save yourself money, bake your own. Who doesn't like it? Who doesn't like to bake, right?
Just love to bake.
Now, I have gone off and I've printed a bunch of things on my little resin printer that I wanted to use for my base. I printed candles, I printed mushrooms, I printed flowers, I printed, rocks, obviously. I printed little trees and things like that to add to the bases, things that I wanted. And the beauty of it is that everything I printed is free. I posted links to all of them down underneath this video, and go ahead and grab them. You can change their sizes. You can do whatever you want to these. I still haven't found a really good one for grass tufts, and I know people love adding grass tufts, and I know that there's one out there, and if there's not, I guess I'll just have to make it myself. But as soon as I find one, I'll post it in the comments of this video with a link to it so that everybody can use that as well. You can 3D print these things for pennies to use, and you can print as many of them as you want, whatever size that you want. And so why wouldn't you do that? But once you have all these things printed out and have everything ready to go and have your special basing paste, is what we're going to call it, thrown on the base of your miniature, you just add them in whatever orientation you want. And I'm not saying you have to spend as much time on the bases as you do on your minis, because I don't think you do, but anything you do will make it look really good. And of course, you don't have to 3D print your own rocks. If you're getting dirt from your garden, grab some rocks as well. I mean, as you bake that dirt, I'm sure that you'll find a lot of rocks in there. And I have my bag of rocks and dust and things like that that I use as well.
I like rocks.
So bases don't have to cost you a lot of money. You can make them with anything that you find. You can use wood chips to look like fallen logs or to prop them up on a tree or a broken building. You can use an aluminum foil ball. Just roll your own aluminum foil and just roll it over that paste once it's dried a little bit, and it'll give it a nice, good, worn texture. Coffee stirring sticks. Cut them up, layer them down, glue them down. It looks great flooring. It looks like dock if you want them to be on a dock somewhere. There's little things all around that you can use to make these bases yours and to make them real, make them look the way that you want them to look. Now, one of the simplest bases that I've ever seen is just marble flooring. If you want to make it look like they're walking through the palace floor and you want to do marble, all you need for that is a dryer sheet that you do your laundry with, or baby wipes. Some of these baby wipes are not they're not like tissue. They're more almost woven together, and as you pull them apart, you can see, if I stretch this out, put some tears and things like that in it. And what you do is you just place this down over your miniature, over your base. Put that down on top of the base and just spray paint over the top of it with white, whatever color you want your marble to be. So if you have a black base, you just lay this down on top, spray that over it, pull it off, and you have a very good looking marble texture. Probably one of the easiest bases out there. So if you want to do a bunch quick, that's a great way to do it. The next way, I figured I'd give you 3 different ways to make a base, is to use a texture roller. Now, you can buy these, right? You can go to most websites that sell stuff like this, and you can buy these in a bunch of different textures. This is 3D printed. I 3D printed this on my FDM printer. You can use it with XPS foam, which is just this gray foam. And you can see that there. I've rolled this texture on that foam. Okay. So you're not going to be making bases out of this usually. I mean, obviously you could, but another thing you can do is just put down that paste that we made and wait for it to not harden, but wait for it to get a little firm, and then just go right over the top with this. Just roll right over the top with whatever texture roller you've printed, and now you have a texture. And if you make one of those in just like a simple square tile pattern, you can put it on just about anything. You can have tiles, you can have stones for your dungeon, you can make it into whatever you want. But that's just a simple, easy tool that you can print or buy to make your bases a little better. I almost forgot, you can totally use clay or silicone if you have that as well. I've seen people use like the green stuff that you mix together for miniatures and just put that down on top of a base and just roll that over the top. Everyone's use is a little different. But again, I mean, it's an easy way to make bases. And if you're trying to do this for like an army or something like that, that might be a good way to do it because you can bust out 20, 30 bases in 20, 30 minutes instead of 2 or 3 hours. The truth about bases that nobody likes to admit is that a good base will only make a good miniature look better. It'll make a bad miniature look better. And so with it being something that's so easy to do, it just ups the game. It makes everything look a little bit better. And like I said, they're not that hard to make. So, once you get tired of printing out all your minis and painting them and then looking at them with just their boring bases, remember this video. Doing this will make any game you play feel more alive, feel more realistic. And isn't that the goal? To immerse yourself in the game? You can start by immersing your characters in the world that they're standing on. For those of you who have been doing this for a long time, I would love to hear what you do, what your go-to base is. Is it easy? Is it hard? Is it time consuming? And do you feel like it makes a difference to have those bases, those handmade bases, instead of just putting your model on just a black piece of slate? And if it does, I want to know. Tell me all about it. Here at Pulsegate Games, we want to make the tabletop hobby better for everyone, including us. So we love to hear about that stuff.
Fine, tell me all your secrets.
And while you're making these bases or the bases of your own, don't forget, don't spend so much time making your world that you forget to spend some time in it. Until next time.